Hey chat, hey everybody, please welcome Devin Townsend. I was telling Devin earlier, before I used to do Twitch, I was in my pajamas until I actually have to go out and see someone at night or a meeting. Every day, I never get out of my pajamas. I like to be comfortable because on tour, you're always uncomfortable, right? It's like, I'm going to be comfortable as much as possible now.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think on tour, my outfit is very much the same as this. See, this is the difference in our apparel. I'm in Vancouver, and although the sun's out, my fingers are freezing, and so...
Did you try turning on every gear in your studio, even the one you never use, just to warm up the room?
Well, I find that by the end of the day, it becomes so unbearable that in the beginning, I'm cool with just letting it be cold.
What's your schedule like on Twitch these days, or before you were making the album?
Before I was making the album, I was trying to do it weekly, but what ends up happening for me, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people who have a creative endeavor of some sort, is that I function well because I can focus on one thing at a time. Now that I have finished the record, I spent the day yesterday trying to figure out why the delay that I had on my Twitch stream was the case. And what it was an offset in OBS that I had implemented in the beginning, and then just somewhere along the line it no longer was necessary. So I'm hoping to put up another Twitch thing starting Monday and then try and do it consistently per week. But yeah, man, making this record was just it just kicked me in the dink for 3 months straight.
I remember back in 2003 when I made the second DragonForce album, it took 2 months. And then it was never less than 6 months afterwards.
Well, maybe it's because you're aware of it. Improvising, for example. You can improvise really well when no one's paying attention. And maybe it's the same thing with earlier records, because in the beginning of my career, I had no anticipation of anybody giving a shit about it. So it was easy to do. I'm just like, it goes like this. Then as you get older, you're like, oh yeah, my snare does sound like shit or whatever, and then you end up having to try and compensate in some weird way.
I'm not trying to be rude, but everyone have a unique personality, but you definitely have one that stands out. The first rock concert I went to, I saw Devin Townsend running up and down the Hammersmith Odeon with just his underwear. That was the Steve Vai Sex and Religion tour in, I think, 93.
I think that the collateral that I have is I was never particularly cool, whether or not that was like in school. It was always kind of like, you're the guy running around in your underwear, and people tolerated it enough to say, okay, well, his music doesn't entirely suck as well. So never being part of a club that had any parameters made it that I never really had to care about it, and I think that's been where a lot of my strength has come in terms of continuing to do what I want. I could do some sort of thrashy death metal or whatever, and then I could say, okay, now I feel like doing flute and harp music, and people were typically like, yeah, well, I guess that's what he does, so all right. I'm happy to do this, and when it comes to Twitch and when it comes to public things, I love my job so much, man, and I really appreciate the fact that people allow me to keep doing it. It's unfortunate that I'm so single-minded because I would love to be able to do it more, but we do what we can, right?
Yeah, and of course, thank you for getting in touch to get into this campaign here. I couldn't write to everybody. I was explaining to people in chat. I didn't write to Tony McAlpine. I didn't write to Vinnie Moore. I should have, but I can't write to every single person. I'm telling other people to get in touch with others.
You talk about Tony McAlpine. He was my favorite when we were kids. I loved Steve Vai, of course, and Yngwie, and Vinnie Moore was, I think he had my favorite precision. It was just so clean. But Tony McAlpine I loved because it seemed like melodically he was doing things that were really sort of different. Like Maximum Security was really an interesting thing. And I was so fortunate to play with Steve Vai when I was a kid that it made me not stop playing guitar solos, but all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, well, he's so much better than me that I can just focus on, orchestration or doing the things that I want. I hope that somebody with a lot of money buys Jason's guitar and then gives it to him. I think that would be a great a great move, man.
Yeah, here's the good news. We have an offer for about $150,000 for the numbered guitar.
Amazing. Would you mind bringing that numbered guitar up to the screen so we could see it? I would love to see it up close.
Yes. This one's made by Peavey.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's the original one right there, eh?
Yeah, the first one.
Wow. And so the tuning pegs are a different color as well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Jason Richardson borrowed this guitar and did a Jason Becker video. He was shredding the shit out of this thing.
That guy's ridiculous too. We did a thing together, the John Petrucci guitar thing. And he was super helpful to me because I was trying to figure out how to get my interface working. And he was just right in the trenches there, figuring it out with me as a solid dude would. That was a very endearing thing.
So this is...
Oh, that's the one! Yeah,
Perpetual
dude.
Burn album cover.
Wow.
Yeah. The truth is this is not a good guitar. This is actually a pretty terrible guitar for shredding. And the way he played it, I have no idea, because I spoke to Jason. I said, I can't believe how you shred this guitar this way. I can never play even close to that on a guitar like that. It's really difficult to play.
Well, that also underlines his passion, right? Because I think there's also gear fetishizing that happens where people are like, unless I have this certain set of parameters lined up, there's no way I could possibly play. We're fortunate, you and I, now that we're older and have been doing this for a while, that we have the tools that we require, or not require, but we would like in order to do it. But it doesn't mean that if we didn't have those, we wouldn't create, because I think the creative spirit is more dependent on tenacity than it is about anything else. And a guitar like that, its value is much more in its history rather than whether or not it's, got a radiused fretboard.
What's a gear endorsement? Any kind of products that you wish you didn't do? You thought, fuck that. Why did I sign a deal with this company?
I don't think there's been any. And anything that has gone sideways has only been because after experimenting with it, we can't take it further. For example, I did a 7-string baritone flying V with Peavey. That's a great guitar, and the reason we didn't continue is because my ideas to take it to another level would just put it out of the price point that was convenient for them. So, we parted ways amicably, and there was no drama, and I still love that guitar. My endorsements that I have focused on are because I have a lot of ideas to facilitate my work that I have had to sort of MacGyver together from existing products to facilitate those ideas. So I often choose companies that can make me exactly what I want. So this guitar here, I designed it with Marcus. I did the body, I did the pickups, all the contours, everything about this. Even when it lies down, I made the pitch of the headstock different than the actual body, so the headstock doesn't touch the ground.
I need to do like cheesy guitar faces.
Okay.
It's like the band just decided that they're going home. Hey guys.
Yeah, they said, you guys suck. We're leaving.
You guys, we're out, man.
You guys are horrible. Yeah. So I spoke to George Lynch yesterday, right? He told me, look, the players back then, they didn't have many guitars like early in the 70s, like Hendrix and all that. And they just make those work,
I think there's a real creative value that comes from limitations. When I'm recording, I use Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, but within those DAWs, I like to have one delay, one reverb, one compressor, maybe 2 compressors. But when you open the plugin list, it's just like, and I'm thinking, and when I was a kid, I used to work with engineers, and that used to drive me crazy. But even then, it was the same thing. I'd say, I want a delay with a warble on it. And he'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I've got a bunch of delays we can choose from. And I'm just like, holy shit, like I'm going to lose the idea. Just the first one, man. Just take the first one. And so I think that in a similar way, you look at those players in the 70s, that they had their guitar, their head that was held together with duct tape and snot, and they were able to create from that without being distracted by the options. And I think with the internet and everybody now, you can get through neural DSP or fractal. But the problem with that is, man, I don't want to choose from 9,000 cab IRs.
I feel like you buy this, you get this product, there's a million options. Like, I just want one that works.
Yep. However, I think that where this new era of technology, the skill set comes into, can you make a decision? And I think that if you're able to make a decision, man, sky's the limit.
I totally understand, you know, and I think having Pro Tools, for example, to be able to record again actually makes you more insane, because it's like too many possibilities. I cannot finish this album. It takes me a day to do a guitar solo. I can improvise 100 solos, but it takes me a day to actually have one that I go, you know what, I can live with this maybe.
Well, you have a strong vision too, right? Maybe the reason it takes a day is because you like to craft great solos, and that's awesome. That's a skill set, man. Solos for me, I'm just kind of like, well, there's that, and now I'm lazy and bored. So people think of me as a guitar player, but it's like that's not my world, right? Like I don't like Tosin or yourself, or these people are soloists. And for me, dude, I mean, I've got 6 licks and I just change them, you know, depending on what key I'm in, but that's basically it, right? So, but you know, it says what I feel I need to say, so I'm okay with it.
It's fun to see you in this environment. I think most fans don't see you just improvise solos and just do this.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm in open C tuning. So I'm never in standard. So it's like when I hear these jams, I gotta, because you know, like the pentatonic scale that in standard guitars, like, you know, 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7, 5/8, 5/8. In order to do that here, I gotta go. So it's like every time I go down to the blues road, I got like those two patterns that you get stuck in. I find that when I'm playing live, I don't think that I'm doing it, but I tend to do this thing where I stick my tongue in my cheek. And somebody had commented here that I don't use my pinky. No, because I learned on my own, my technique is just such garbage. But I think as long as you can get to the finish line, you can express what it is that you need to finish, or then, you know, pinky is optional.
Yeah, you know, Red Beach didn't use a pinky back then.
Didn't he?
No, he didn't.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
He's one of the great ones.
Sorry, you can't get your donation money back. There's no donation money coming back.
Dude, that's how you do it, man. In the big leagues.
Yeah, no refund, guys. I don't know how you play with the drop C tuning. I'm just completely in shock.
So the tuning is open C, C G C G C E. So it just makes a C major chord. But the thing that's great about it, and this is everything I've written in this as well, is because I do so much orchestration, either choral or like orchestra work. But if you're going to do a complex chord like that with the orchestra and the choir, that interval does something to the harmonic content of the low notes, and the vibrations of the strings are like super solid. So when you go like that, it's like super constant, right? So all my riffs are just like, when you want to do an arpeggio, you'd be like, and then the whole idea of having that many C's and G's going, like fifths and octaves, is it acts like almost like a sitar, where you can just have this sort of pedal tone going, and you just constantly have these open strings ringing as you're playing. It's like,
that is your unique tone. When I saw you play live, I go, what is he doing on the guitar? It sounds unlike something that I can create.
I can't do what you do either. I think the thing is, it's like jamming on these backing tracks. Like, as you're playing, I'm like, where the fuck is E? I'm like, C, D, E. Okay, so here's E, and then I guess minor would be like that, you know what I mean? Or major would be like that.
Now that is really interesting, actually. I learned something, you know, from hearing this. It's like, I'm not going to do it, but it's like, wow, that is a very interesting way to look at the guitar. And thank you so much, Devin, for coming to hang here, do this. We have some awesome donations. Everybody follow Devin's Twitch live stream. Basically follow him on everything, every single channel, because we live in a world where the more followers, the more cool you are.
Is that what it is?
It helps musicians negotiate a better record deal, better advance, better everything. It doesn't help us play better, but the other stuff does.
But thank you, my friend.
Thank
And
you.
Everybody that's here, thank you so much for your patience, and thank you for supporting Jason. And again, Herman, I think I speak for all of us when I say that what you're doing here is a credit to the scene, and the fact that you've taken time to do something selfless for the sake of somebody else is rare and worthy of all the praise, man. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, Devin.
You're
We'll
so
talk
welcome.
soon, all right?
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye.
How do I turn this off? Oh, I hit the leave
I'll
button.
kick you out instead.
right.
Bye.